When does it record the time? Beginning of the injection, end of injection?
Good question. So we capture all those different things. The standard configuration right now is at the end of the injection.
Like you can do unrecorded saline flush.
If you connect a saline syringe to it, I don't know if you noticed, but in the pick list in the upper left-hand corner, hard-coded is saline is the first one you pick. If you use an unencoded syringe, we're also within BD, which is the leading supplier of prefilled saline syringes. If you attach it, it won't be recorded. It won't go into the patient record. It just ignores those.
You had a flow diagram that had a lot of noise with it on one of the slides. Was that a person with tremor or noise on your sensor? That one. Go back. Another one. That one. The one on the bottom.
This is actually a diagram of an anesthesiologist syringe push.
No, I know. But
Yeah.
I'm saying, did that guy have a tremor, or is that your sensor having noise on it?
Neither.
Yeah.
Neither, actually. That believe it or not, there, as we go through the data, there is an awful lot of this. That the combination of friction from the syringe plunger and any movement of the thumb that varies the pressure. Many people would have anticipated that you would see these nice bell-shaped curves, and I can just tell you for a fact it is not that way at all, especially when it comes to slower pushes.
And I want to congratulate you on making the color label clinical. We did that in the late 80s with a human patient simulator. We put barcode labels on syringes filled with water for the simulator, and it had concentration and drugs, and it's wonderful to see it being used clinically now.
Great, thank you very much. And again, Jim? Okay.
For the unlabeled syringes, did you think of making a something, so a voice recognition system, so the doctor nurse would just say saline or whatever, and the system recognizes immediately instead of looking on a drop-down list?
Nope, I mean, that's a good idea. It's not something that we've put on our roadmap now, but I appreciate the idea.
The automatic ignoring of saline seems worrisome. You'd think that sometimes the drug will get to the patient when the saline is pushed thereafter. I wonder if you'd consider at least capturing it to discover whether that's true.
Actually, Jim, it's a really good point. And our system does capture it, and we have the ability to track it. In fact, one of the things our research, we've done extensive research into the nursing area, which is really a next kind of front for us after anesthesia. And in the nursing area, they want to be able to track and ensure that there was a flush done before the administration and after the administration. And many hospitals have rules, got to be 10 mLs. So we can measure, we can say that it was done, we can measure the volume of it. What they don't want is the electronic record system companies like Epic, Cerner don't want that data showing up in a flow sheet. It's not appropriate. So yes, we do capture it. It's available in our system log, but it isn't something that we want populated in the flow sheet.
Is it possible for it to capture how many ml between the injection, the IntelliPort, and the actual entrance of the vein? That, again, in the long run may make a difference. Being able to enter that data.
Not at this time. I mean, I think what you're getting at is what's the volume in the line. I mean, we'd have to know the length of the line, and we don't currently offer the ability to enter that data manually.
I've gotten to interact with the system, and it works very well. When you do push slowly, I mean, you can almost see the noise, which you would expect, because the plunger does feel like it does. When you're pushing slowly, you can almost feel that, so that's representative. The other thing is that interacting with the system in terms of the plotting the medications, like when you put an unencoded syringe on, it's very nice. It works very well. So I have to say, congratulate you on that.
Thank you, Dr. Sakana.
And then I just want to ask, since I'm here in Europe, I have a question. In the United States, we have something called USP 797, so U.S. Pharmacopoeia 797 rules for compounding state that when we drop a medication at bedside, that if you're going to administer a drug after an hour, you've got to label syringe. If it's right away, you don't. It has rules about how you draw. Are there rules like that here in Europe? I'm curious what the agency is, or if there's any rules, because we're under critical attention by JACO and everywhere else about these types of issues. I'm just curious what happens here. Does anyone have any?
They're not as strict in Europe. They're not as well developed in Europe yet. I mean, normally they assume 24 hours that you throw a drug out. But it's not as finely developed in Europe. These timings and things like that. The labelling regulations. I mean, I showed you the thing up there, but the hour regulation isn't one that's in Europe.
You could drop it 5 and administer it 18 hours later?
Yes, quite often in obstetric units, people will draw up syringes and leave them for 24 hours. Have succinylmethonium and things standing for 24 hours, yeah. So it's not, and this is why sterile pre-filled syringes would be so much better.
Just go ahead.
One of the restrictions in not having the any type of regulatory clearance and not being allowed to promote it is I can't give details on pricing information. What I can tell you is that it's very inexpensive. It's much less than you would expect it to cost. We have a demo system set up out here. I would encourage people to stop by. We can talk, more details about it, but I can't give out brochures and I can't give out pricing information here, but might be able to provide you with some benchmarks.
Just like the use of pre-filled syringes, this makes a ton of sense, and it's obvious that we go in this direction. In the long run, it could save money by avoiding drug error in administration. My question is, how long do you envision that we have this kind of a system or similar like this in routine care? And my second question is, why is it going to take that long?
How long before we get it into routine care?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I'd like to tell you it's quick. It's going to be less than 10 years. So we might beat pre-filled syringes, but to be honest, it's very much a chicken and egg scenario. Because in the OR, a labeling device or pre-filled syringes from compounders are readily available. Some of them are used in the ED, some are used in the PACU area, but beyond that, we need to continue to build more relationships with pre-filled syringe manufacturers, and there's not many of them right now. So in order to really have this, move out onto the floors and in other care areas, we need to have that availability of pre-filled syringes. And some of that can be done with, the encoding solutions we have available today, but that's going to take some partnerships and some time.
Is there an IntelliPort for an epidural catheter that will prevent you from injecting drugs that don't belong in the epidural space?
I've been asked that question a couple of times. We don't have one today. If there's a need for that, we could certainly develop it. One of the things that we have been asked many times is, could we do a pediatric sensor? There's certainly a lot of application and interest in this type of technology for pediatrics, and I showed you the sort of the flow range on this, and if we were to really go into pediatrics, we would want to design a different sensor tuned for much smaller boluses and lower flow ranges. So yes, we could do something for epidural, we just need to see there's a market need for it.
Medication errors are 6 times in pediatrics what they are in adults. Medication errors are 6 times what they are in adults, so it'd be a great area to get to.
Jim, is there time? I don't. Okay. Sorry. Then.
Injection into the epidural space is going through an incredibly high resistance device. Have you tested your work so far on what that downstream pressure really does and whether that impacts your flow measurement?
We have not, Jim. As I mentioned, our focus right now is really on the present conditions. We've done extensive studies for what is needed in the peri-op space. If we went into pediatrics, it would be a whole nother set of tests. If we went into doing epidurals, it'd be another set of tests. I believe that we have built the capabilities and a set of building blocks that would give us the flexibility to move into those areas much more quickly than we were able to, do this first one. But we haven't run those tests yet, and we'd have to do that. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And again, we'll have a demo system out here. I'd invite people to come by and go deep. Thank you.